no support anxiety, taking care of sick family, not making it, family that don't understand my journey, daddy issues, lack of confidence, being doubted. So everybody here, I'm seeing loss of faith, insecurities, fail miserably. Somebody said they felt the daddy issues, mother issues, pressure, feeling alone, mentees not seeing results from day one, feeling stuck, being an introvert. So there's a lot of things that you guys are writing, which is good. I want you guys to actually write out what it is that you have going on. No good spiritual overcoming thoughts, unbelief, right? Would you guys agree? Wow. Would you guys agree that if there's more than one person typing the same type of thing? If you guys would agree with that, drop the number 1. If you see that there is more than the same one person typing the same type of thing. So I'm gonna do my best to allow, and I'm not putting my beliefs on anybody, but I'm gonna do my best to allow God to do what he wants to do. But at the same time, I did make sure I wrote out notes. One of the things I wanted to cover is the definition of depression. I wanted to cover that. If you guys want to look at it yourself, that's perfectly fine. I'm gonna go right over to Google. And I'm gonna look up the definition of depression. I'm going right over to Google and I'm looking up the definition of depression. Again, remember, it's not what I say, but it's what you say to yourself. So if you're the type of person that understands that what you say in your mind or with your words, go ahead and read what I'm about to read to you for yourself, because I need you to start saying these things to yourself even today, okay? So depression, by definition, according to Google, is a mental health disorder categorized by persistently depressed mood or loss of interest in activities, causing significant impairment in daily life. Possible causes include a combination of biological, psychological, or social sources of distress. Increasingly, research suggests that these factors may cause changes in brain function, including altered activity of certain neural circuits in the brain. So depression can be something that you're born with. So they say, I'm not going to say I agree with that, right? But again, I'm not a healthcare professional, right? But they talked in the definition about some of the factors being social sources of distress or psychological distress. Can we all agree that the feelings of anxiety, the feelings of fear, the feelings of daddy issues, the feelings of your friends laughing at you, the feelings of you not feeling like you have anybody, that loneliness feeling, can we all agree that those thoughts, they are in our head? Not saying they're not real, but we think about them in our head. If you agree with that, go ahead and drop yes in the chat. You agree that we think these things in our head, right? Now, I got to ask you this question. I want you to answer yourself. The feelings that you typed in the chat, how often do you repeat those feelings to yourself? If it's once a day, drop a 1. If it's twice a day, drop a 2. If it's 3 times a day, drop a 3. We got multiple. We got daily, every day, all day, 3 times a day, 2 to 3 times a day, nightly, all day. So we have these feelings that we have in our mind, and then every single day, based on what you guys are telling me and what you're telling yourself, is you affirm to yourself every day those feelings. You may not say them out loud, you can just think them. You may just be thinking it. It may be something that you just say in your head. Something in your head. I want you to think about that. Comparison. That's one of those things you all, and we do this. Let me explain to you guys on this call. A lot of us are guilty of these things. Some of us don't even know we feel this stuff, right? We don't even know we feel this stuff or that we affirm this stuff, but a lot of us affirm this stuff. I'm fearful, I'm scared, I'm scared, I'm scared, I'm scared. Think about saying that. I'm lonely, I'm lonely, I'm lonely. I'm broke, I'm broke, I'm broke. Think about how often what we just typed, how many times we say it. And I'm gonna share something with you guys. I went to a course last year. I'm gonna show you guys this. This is Bob Proctor's course. This is Bob Proctor's course. It's called Paradigm Shift. Paradigm Shift. And I'm gonna share something that I paid $800 for 3 days. I'm gonna share this for free to you. And I only gave you guys the cost of it because I need you to know the importance of the information that I'm sharing. All right? I need you guys to be writing this down. In Paradigm Shift, there's a couple things. I'm going to share it with you. I want y'all to see this. So here, hopefully y'all can see that. Bob Proctor talked about thinking, the thoughts that we have, and how they get into our paradigm. He talked about your thinking and your paradigm. Those are different things, y'all, okay? Thinking may be, it's your thoughts, right? The stuff that you think about, maybe you see a picture of something, you have a thought. Paradigm is how you think about that thought. Your paradigm is how you think about that thought. So for those that said fear, how do you think about fear? To you, is fear a bad thing or is it a good thing? To you all that said daddy issues, okay? When you think about daddy issues, is it a good thing in your paradigm or is it a bad thing in your paradigm? When you think about your friends laughing at you or your friends not understanding you, in your paradigm, is it a good thing or a bad thing? That's paradigm. You have a thought and then it goes through your paradigm, right? After it goes through your paradigm, it creates an emotion. It creates an emotion. After a thought goes through your paradigm, which your paradigm is your subconscious. It's your subconscious. It's the part of you that can go to a movie that is completely fake, that you know is fake, and still cry. The subconscious part of you is the part of you that can go to a movie that you know is not real, watch it, and still cry. That's the example of your subconscious. It's that powerful. It can create emotions. It's that powerful, your paradigm. So you have thoughts all throughout the day. We're thinking all throughout the day. But how are we filtering those thoughts through our paradigm? Now, Bob Proctor talks about 2 ways that you can filter those feelings. 2 ways. You're either going to have ignorance or you're going to have knowledge. Ignorance means I have a feeling. I don't know how to communicate this feeling through my paradigm. Meaning when I think about fear, I think about all of the bad things about fear. You know how we say everything that you want is on the other side of fear, right? People that have been self-developed, you guys hear this. Everything that you want is on the other side of fear. But if you haven't trained your paradigm to think that way, when you think of fear, you think of whatever scares you. You think of being scared. You think of being frightened from doing what you want to do. You think of all of the reasons why you can't do something when you think about fear. Okay? Alonzo, that would. There's ignorance and there's knowledge. That's that ignorant side when not saying you're stupid, right? Not saying that something's wrong with you because you don't know this information, but sometimes we're just not privy or we're not aware, right? So ignorance. When you have ignorance about those feelings that you guys wrote, worry and doubt come about. When you have ignorance about those feelings, worry and doubt come about. Worry and doubt lead to fear. Worry and doubt lead to fear. So some of you guys said, I want to make sure I'm not missing anybody. Some people don't perform. Some people don't perform to their highest ability because they're ignorant about what they're feeling. So worry and doubt produces fear. So there's a thought, it goes through your paradigm, and then you have worry and doubt from that thought. And that first feeling you're going to get is fear. Fear of that thought because you don't know about it. The next thing Bob Proctor says is after fear comes anxiety. After fear comes anxiety. After anxiety comes a suppression. I hope y'all are writing this down. So it's a thought. It goes through the paradigm, the way that you were taught to think about things. Is everyone not muted? Here. I'll make sure everybody's muted. There we go. All right, so there's a thought. It goes through your paradigms. After it goes through your paradigm, it creates worry and doubt, which creates fear, which then creates anxiety. The next thing he talked about is suppressing those feelings. So I want you guys to think about it. How long have you felt fear? How long have you felt alone? How long have you had daddy issues? How long have you had mommy issues? How long have you dealt with those feelings? Drop that in the chat. How long have you attempted to suppress those feelings by saying, I'm good. Nothing's wrong with me. It doesn't bother me. I'm over it. I'm past it now. I'm older. We got 17 years since middle school, a long time, half of my lifetime, whole life, 14 years. People are writing here that they've suppressed these feelings. You've suppressed them. So you had a thought, it created all of these emotions, and instead of dealing with them, instead of affirming a different thought, we suppress them. And suppressing them creates depression. Suppressing those creates depression. Based on what Bob Proctor had taught us during Paradigm Shift, he talked about suppressing those feelings, going through that cycle. Remember the cycle. It's a thought. It goes through your paradigm, the way that you think about things. If your paradigm, meaning what you have learned and how you have learned to deal with your thoughts since birth, how you have learned to think about things since birth, that's your paradigm, right? It goes through that. If you don't handle it properly, you deal with worry, doubt, that leads to fear, that leads to anxiety, that leads to you attempting to suppress it because you don't know how to deal with it. And when you don't know how to deal with it, that then leads to depression. Because depression is basically and I want you guys to go back to that Google definition. Go back to that Google definition where it says, by persistently depressed mood or loss of interest in an activity. How do you get yourself in a depressed mood? Think about it. I want you guys to think about it. And I promise you guys, I'm not teaching something that's brand new, but hopefully because you're hearing it from me and you're hearing it from yourself, you'll believe it this time. But think about, how do you create a depressed mood? I want you to think about it. Think about it right now. Anytime that you have these feelings, what's usually the program that happens? Somebody just said it. You continuously think about it. I want you to think, usually when you feel bad, how long have you thought about feeling bad? How often do we sit in the bathroom, sit in the restroom, and think about the things over and over and over that are negative? How long do we sit in our cars driving to and from work, thinking about the things that don't make us happy over and over and over again? How many nights do we sleep in our bed or stay up at night thinking about those things over and over and over again? We are constantly affirming the negative feeling. We're constantly affirming the negative feeling. Somebody said, drown it out, right? Okay, let's even think about that. You have people that, and again, this is not a judgment zone. This is not a judgment zone. This is all love. There was a time where weed was a suppressant. Weed was a suppressant. Because I want to make sure we don't spend too much time beating around the bush. I want to be direct. At some point in time, weed was a suppressant for me. It was that place where I could numb out and not have to face what I was thinking. But here's the kicker. You get high, and then you get to a point where you're quiet and you just think about the things you were attempting to escape anyway. Right? Or let's say drinking is your choice. And I'm talking about abusing these things, not just using. I'm talking about abusing these things. Drinking's your thing, and you say, hey, I'm gonna drink until I don't feel. And then you drink, and if you're an emotional drunk, you still feel. You still think about what you were attempting to get away from anyway. If you're a happy drunk, you still happily talk about what you were attempting to get away from anyway. So not only are you abusing your body physically, but you're still putting that affirmation of trauma through your mind anyway. You're still doing it. So there's that's that thing that we do, right? We go through finding ways to deal with stuff. That's the ignorant way that some of us, not all of us, some of us were taught that if you have bad feelings, don't address those feelings, go do something fun or go do something that can distract you from those feelings. And unfortunately, most of us were taught to either go drink or smoke, or some people go have sex. I hope it's all adults on here, right? Some people have different things to deal with those feelings, right? To deal with those feelings. Now, the other side of this that Bob Proctor talked about, let me keep going. He said, after depression, catch this. He said, after you go through depression, or you get yourself, after you've affirmed this depressed feeling over and over and over again, the next thing that happens is you become uncomfortable. Dis-ease. That's what he puts, dis-ease. Because now you have suppressed the feeling so long that you have talked yourself into a stuck place. You have talked yourself into a place of non-movement. It happens. You talk yourself into a place, you think yourself into a place of non-moving. The next thing that he talks about is after you go to disease, because he said disease. So depression is not just mental, but it then leads to those things. My stomach hurts, my head hurts, my chest hurts, my body aches, because we're suppressing something that we're not dealing with. Then he went to that leads to disintegration. After you go through disease, after you depress those feelings, your body starts going through disintegration. It starts breaking down. It starts breaking down. There are people that have been sad enough to take themselves out. They didn't physically do anything to themselves. They were just sad. They were just suppressing those feelings for so long that it took them out. So what we want to do today is, first, I wanted to make sure we were aware of what we're dealing with. Is everybody aware? Are we aware of how we get to those feelings? Are we aware? If you are aware, I want you to drop the number 2 in the chat. If you are aware of how you get to fear, how you got to those feelings. Perfect, perfect. We are aware. That was the first thing I wanted us to do. I wanted us to know what depression is by definition. I wanted to share with you guys how Bob Proctor, which is a guy you can follow on YouTube, talks about how you get to depression, how you get in that state, how you can get in that state, right? I wanted to talk about this, and I wanted us to become aware. I wanted us to become aware. The next thing I want us to address is triggers. What are your triggers? This is important. This is for people that understand what gets you to that place. For some of us, we say repeating those words. I want you to type it out if you don't mind. If you are not afraid, type out, what are your triggers? Let me explain. What events or words send you into those depressed feelings? What events or words send you into those depressed feelings? Somebody said, I don't know, my dad, my siblings, rent, disappointment, money, I can't do it, family, money. Somebody said too fat, ignorant, blatant lies, holidays, exes, rejection. Oh, wow. Let me sidebar and say this to you guys while you're writing that. Continue writing, continue writing. Bob Proctor said this to me in July of 2019. He said this at his event and it changed my life forever. I understand daddy issues. Hear me when I say this. I understand them completely. And Bob Proctor told me this. I even understand. My mom's amazing. She's a dope mom. I told my mom, I wish she disciplined me a little bit more. I wish she disciplined me a little bit more. But neither here nor there. We worked it out. God worked it out, right? But hear me when Bob Proctor said this. Bob Proctor said, release your parents. Forgive them. They did the best that they could. I say this all the time when I'm talking to people I love and it's a parent issue. Listen to me. Your parents did the best that they could. The best. Whether it was what they taught you, if it was how they loved you, if it was how they communicated, they didn't have the same self-development that you have. They didn't have the same access to the motivation, or they didn't think they did. They didn't think that they had access to what you have, and they did their absolute best. They did their best. The way that they showed love, bad or good or indifferent, it was their best. That's all they had. That has nothing to do with that being your best. Their best is not your best. Your parents did their absolute best. If you have children, I'm children, I ain't got country, y'all. If you have children like myself, I am sure Layla and Landon will grow up and say, my mom and dad could have did this better. My mom and dad could have did this better. My children will probably grow up and say, my mom and dad could have did this better. Whatever that this is to them. But I will teach them to know that mom and dad did their very best. And as adults and where we are right now, whether dad was not there, mom was not there, dad was there, but he was dealing with drugs or drinking or cheating or whatever dad was dealing with, or mom was dealing with drugs or drinking or whatever our parents dealt with, whether it was they didn't know how to communicate, they didn't know how to communicate their love. They didn't know how to properly discipline us or hear us. They didn't see us. They didn't affirm us. Whatever that is, they did their absolute best, y'all. And this is not to give them an excuse. This is not an excuse. This is not an excuse for anything that has ever happened to you from your parents, because I don't know. I don't know what that is. But I will let you know they did their absolute best. That's all they had. They gave all that they had. They were attempting to figure it out, just like us as parents attempt to figure it out. We attempt to figure it out. We don't know it all. There is no parent guide for all these kids. They're all different. They're different. They're different. We do our best. Okay. So for you guys that I see that, I get that. I apologize for sitting on that so long, but Dave and Bob Proctor shared that with us. Your parents did your best. Forgive them. Forgive them. When you're ready. I can't make you be ready. When you're ready, forgive them. They did their best. I can tell you now, when I decided to understand that, number one, my mom and my father are on their own journey. My mother and my father are on their own journey. They are developing their own type of way. They are learning their own type of way. They have childhood traumas that I know absolutely nothing about. Some things I do know about. Some things, their minds, their mental states are completely different. Some stuff they share with me, some stuff they would never share with me. I understood they're adults that had a journey just like I have a journey. So just like I have childhood traumas, or I have hurt, my parents have hurt. My parents have things that they didn't deal with. And can I afford to spend the rest of my life attempting to figure out where that started? Hear me out. Can you afford spending the rest of your life attempting to figure out who to blame for your parents' issues or your grandparents' issues or your great-grandparents' issue? Can you afford to spend the rest of your life attempting to figure out who messed up my mental chain? Probably not. But what you can do is control what you feel and how you think now. What you can do is control how you proceed from here on out. So we talked about what are those triggers. Some people say, I don't know what my triggers are. I don't know. That's okay. Some people don't know their triggers. Some people don't. Some people don't know their triggers. They're just like, I just felt this way. That's probably because you've been suppressing that feeling for so long. It's going to take you some work to figure out, when did it start? What's perpetuating that feeling? It's going to take you some work to figure that out. What are some of your habits when you feel those feelings? I want y'all to type that out. What are some of your habits when you feel fear or anxiety? Not only are you talking about it, what does your body do? Some people say shut down. Some people say smoke. Some people say pray. Some people say cry. Self-isolation. Shut down. Shy away. Gym, weed, and isolation. Come on with the combo. This is real. Y'all are being honest, and I appreciate it. Shut down. Shut down. Can't eat anything. While we're writing it in the chat, guys, I also want you writing this in your tablet. The reason why I'm having you guys write this stuff down is because you need to see your own patterns on paper. You need to know your pattern. You have to write down what your pattern is so you know it. Write down what your pattern is so you know, because you know what you deal with. You know. So write down what that pattern looks like. And then after you have that pattern, if you've ever been able to kind of snap out of those feelings, snap out of fear, snap out of anxiety, snap out of whatever it is, what is it that you usually do? Type that in the chat for me. What do you do? How do you get back to what you would consider your normal? Michelle said dance. Somebody said eat. Somebody said clean up, read, sleep, dream, pray, get around people and socialize. So I want you to write that down on the opposite side. Things I do to break the pattern of depressed feelings. I want you to write that down. Things you do to break the pattern of depressed feelings. I want you to write that down on wherever you are writing your notes. Wherever you are, write down your notes. For me, my pattern is usually praying. I have a space in my closet. I go right on the floor. I pray. I'll cry. I am a proud crier. I am not ashamed of my tears. I am not ashamed of my tears. I cry happy tears, sad tears, mad tears. I am a crier. That's a part of who I am. I believe I created this in my world. It's how I talk to myself, that crying is me releasing negative energy. That's just me. That's how I feel. That's how I deal with it, right? So I pray, I'll cry, and then I turn on music. I'm a music person. I may start at Tasha Cobbs and then I may move over to Beyonce. That's kind of my combo of gospel and then some upbeat. I'm ready to dance around and tell myself how beautiful I am, how amazing I am, how important I am. That's my pattern. Okay, so whatever your pattern is to break out of those depressed feelings, I want you to make sure you have wrote that down. Write it down. Write it down. If you don't have a breakout pattern, if you do not have a breakout pattern today, right now, and if you can, which I believe you can, but you got to believe you can, I want you to create one, at least by tonight. Before you go to bed tonight, I want you to create a pattern that helps you feel better. For some people, that may be, if I drink coffee, I'm extremely happy. Most of the time, if I drink coffee, I'm extremely happy. I'm like loving and bubbly. I don't know what it is in that caffeine, but I get real happy. I get really happy. So somebody said coffee gives me anxiety. Look, somebody said they write their truest feelings on paper. I think that is beautiful. I was taught this and I agree with it and I stand with it. I will text out all of my feelings. If there are negative emotions, negative words, things that I have to say, I will text them out and I will erase them all. If I write it out, I would tear it up. I will tear it up. Here's why, because words have power. And so if I put something negative out, I need to show myself that I got rid of it. That's me. I believe if I put something on paper that's negative, I do not hold on to it because I do not want that because words have power. I don't want that power around me. I don't want that power around me. For you, that may be, you may use that book and you may make it a book or something. I don't know. For me personally, if I have negative feelings that I've written down, I will tear it up and I will get rid of it. Some people burn it. Whatever that is, that's my thing. I'm getting rid of those words. Okay? We're talking about creating a pattern. Another thing outside of that, some things I want to give you guys is avoid isolation. Now I want you to hear me when I say this, and I'm gonna help you guys understand how business ties into this for those that are business partners. Okay, it's okay to take a moment. It's okay to take a moment and regroup. It is okay to take a moment and regroup. You don't let your moments take over your days. I need you to write that down. Don't let your moments take over your days. It's okay to have moments. You don't let your moments take over your day. Meaning if something is bothering me, something is not feeling okay, it's all right to take a moment, but we're not going to let moments take our days. All right? And a lot of times when we do that, we isolate. So one of the tips I want to give you guys is avoid isolation. Everything that we're writing down on paper, I would love to see this. I would love for you guys to show me those that do it. I would love to see you write these things and put it hanging somewhere in your house, somewhere in your room, somewhere in your bathroom, wherever, somewhere you can see it every single day. This is a big rule. Avoid isolation when feeling depressed. Avoid isolation when feeling depressed. Here's why. If you have not learned how to talk yourself out of it, you need to be around a accountability partner that knows that you deal with this, that can help you affirm a different thing. Here's a tip. today while you're feeling okay, today while you're feeling good, today while you're feeling better than amazing because it's Residual Friday. However, hopefully the good feelings that you have, I want you to write out 5 affirmations, 5 things that are opposite of what you tell yourself when you feel bad. 5 things that are opposite of what you tell yourself when you feel bad. Give those 5 things to your accountability partner, whoever that is. If it's a spouse, if it's a parent, if it's a sibling, if it's a friend, if it's a coworker, give them those 5 things. When you feel yourself in that space and you can't talk yourself out of it and you don't want to explain to somebody what you're feeling, the person you give those 5 things to, call them and tell them to read them to you. Read those 5 things to me. Read them. Somebody said, what if I don't have someone like that in my life? I am so, hear this out, corny but true. I'm so happy and grateful now that God has assigned somebody that can be my accountability partner. I'm so happy and grateful now that God has assigned somebody that can be my accountability partner. If you don't believe in God like me, I'm so happy and grateful now that I have an accountability partner. I'm so happy and grateful now that I have an accountability partner. There are people putting their number here to be your accountability partner. For those that say, I don't have anybody, there are people putting their number here to be your accountability partner. See how that works? I'm so happy and grateful now that I have an accountability partner. There are people willing to help you with those 5 things just like that. Here's a point I want you guys to write down. This is the magic of being a part of I Am Master Academy. This is the magic of being connected. This is the magic of being in this community. You have so many individuals that are going after the same thing as you. You have so many individuals that are still dealing with life, but they're finding a way to fight. And I guarantee you, everybody is not fighting the same thing every single day. There are some days that somebody's going to be sad and the other person's going to be on cloud 10. This is why we have this connection. This is why we call each other family. This is why. This is how it works. You guys just witnessed that in your face. Y'all just saw it in your face. In the moment, we had one person, one family member say, what if I don't have anybody to talk to? You had over 20 individuals say, here's my number. That is the power of this community that we have. It's not just business. It's not just trading. We're not just looking at charts. You guys got to see how great that is. You got to see it. It's not just what we talk about at the front of the room. It's bigger than that. That's why we sound like a cult, because it's bigger than that. That's why we sound this way. That's why we act this way. That's why we tell everybody about it, because it's bigger than trading. It's bigger than recruiting. It's bigger than that. It's a family. It's a family. Let's keep, I'm wrapping up, y'all. I don't want to keep out here too long. We was talking about avoiding isolation. If you're in the group chats, it's so much encouragement in those group chats, guys. It's so much encouragement. Your leadership has a heart for you. We are not just here to put out money and time. We are here to invest in whatever the way you need us to be here. That is respectable, right? Let me put that out there. But we're here. That group, those text groups that we have, they're not just to say, flames, we clear the trade. Those group chats are not just to be like, oh, when's the next call? Those group chats are to build your relationships with people, to say, hey, this is my goal. This is what I struggle with. Here, I wrote down my affirmations. If at any moment I quit or I give up or I'm on the edge, can I call you and you just read those things off to me? That's how strong it is here, y'all. The next thing that I want to make sure we cover before we go is for therapy. Those that need to see a therapist. Those that need to see a therapist. Those that need to see a therapist. Let me explain something to you guys. I understand as entrepreneurs, some of us, maybe our money is a little tight. Maybe we don't know the resources. There are some therapists that are in the organization. There are therapists in the organization that I know have a heart to make sure that they can put something together. But just giving you guys numbers, write this down. On Psychology Today, psychologytoday.com, you can find a therapist in your area. You can find a therapist in your area if you don't go in a group and find one. But you can find a therapist in your area. You can see what they specialize in, and most of them are about $125 for an hour session. $125 for an hour session. Guys, you can trade and make $125 to cover that session if you need it. I, as a chairman 25, going chairman 50, still talk to a therapist. I do. I don't have a lot of problems. Let me be honest with you guys. I don't have a lot of problems. But therapy, what I've learned and what I love about therapy is it gives me the opportunity to talk out loud to somebody that can regurgitate what I'm saying and help me solve my own problems. I usually solve my own problems, but it's just it's the mindset. Therapists are trained. They are trained to help you get to that point. They're not going to shove medicine down your throat. They're not going to shove this idea of what's wrong with you down your throat. Hear me when I say this. As a high schooler, when I first went to therapy in high school because I was suicidal, when I went to therapy in high school because I was suicidal, I had the mindset that they were only going to attempt to put me on some type of medicine, that they were going to lock me up in a room, that they were going to say something was worse with me versus listening to me. Those were all myths. So for people that are on here that have heard those myths, I'm sharing with you guys, it's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. You owe it to yourself. Somebody said once a month. Absolutely. Once a month. Moving on, guys. Moving on. Environment. Right now, tonight, this weekend, we talked about what you guys wrote down. We wrote down we typed out the feelings that we have. I want you to write that down. I want you to write down how you usually get to those feelings, right? What's the pattern that gets you into that rabbit hole? What's your pattern that gets you out of that rabbit hole, right? But then I want you to create an environment of how you're going to be, of how you want yourself to be in the next 30 days, in the next 60 days, in the next 90 days. I want you guys to write that. How are you going to be in the next 90 days? Remember, Mr. David and Monetier always tells us to write out, I'm so happy and grateful now that, and then writing out what it is. Do that all around your room. I don't know if you guys see our office when DL goes live, but all around our office, there are nothing but words of affirmations. Be fearless in the pursuit of what sets your soul on fire. In order to be irreplaceable, one must be different. Make today amazing. Nothing is impossible. The word itself says I'm possible. Believe. Inhale the future. Exhale the past. There are so many words of love in our atmosphere. In my bathroom with dry erase marker, I wrote, I am good enough. I am good enough. So I want you to create an environment. I know we talk about that in business. We're always talking about put up the car you want, put up the house you want, put up what you're going to do with the money. Those are great things. You must do that if that's something you want in your life. But you also have to put up, I'm so happy and grateful now that my mind is sound. I'm so happy and grateful now that I am happy. I'm so happy and grateful now that I'm not depressed. I'm so happy and grateful now that I'm not fearful. I'm so happy and grateful now that I forgive my parents. I'm so happy and grateful now that I'm a good parent. I'm so happy and grateful now that I can provide the lifestyle for my family and those that I love. Whatever that is, write that out everywhere around your home. You want to do that this weekend. I would love to see that. I would love to see that. The next thing, guys, and I'm wrapping up, is I want you to think through what could trigger you back into those cycle of feelings. I want you to write this down. What can trigger me back into those cycle of feelings? If it's comparison, let's talk about this. This is the business portion. I'm wrapping up with the business portion of helping you if you're building through depression. Couple things I want you guys to understand. People that deal with comparison. I said this 2 years ago, maybe 3 years ago. Win on your level or be winded on somebody else's level. Write this down. Win on your level or be winded on somebody else's level. I can only take myself. The person that you guys see today, it's been 11 years of DL and I being in this industry. DL is extremely consistent. I have taken multiple breaks and went back to get jobs and doubted myself and talked to myself, right? And that's how it's been. And then I realized I'm good enough. I realized that, Quiana, you got to win on your level or be winded on somebody else's level. So don't compare your first year journey to our 11th year journey. Don't compare your first month journey to somebody's 2-year journey. It has nothing to do with if you're good enough. It has nothing to do with if you know how to talk to people. It has nothing to do with if you likable or if you were popular. Listen, y'all are just in different spaces. Y'all are in different spaces. Don't compare yourself. This is your journey. It's your journey. For those people that deal with your friends maybe joining the business and leaving the business or not joining the business, I'm going to tell you this, write this down. Get attached to the assignment, not the person. Write this down. Get attached to the assignment, not the person. Over the last 11 years, there have been people that said yes. There are people that have said no. There are people that have came in my household, became my friend, loved and kikied with us, ate with us, enjoyed life with us, and then jumped to another company and attempted to take other people. We have dealt with it. We deal with it. But the reason why it's okay and the reason why we can get past it is because we are attached to the assignment, not the person. We love people. We pour into people. We help people. But we are attached to the assignment to change lives. So if that means at a certain time that person has to exit my life for whatever reason, I have to be okay with it because the assignment is for lives to be changed. And me understanding that people are going to go through cycles. People are going to quit on their dreams. They're going to have attrition, meaning they're going to be all rah, rah, let's go, and then they're going to give up. That's people. It happens. You hate for people to go through it, but it's a part of it. You can encourage people. You can give them tools that they need, but also protecting yourself in this space of understanding, be attached to the assignment and not the person. You have assignments on your life, your story, whatever you're dealing with right now, whatever you're going through right now, whatever you're documenting right now as you go through business, there is somebody that will come along into your life that's dealing with the same thing. And if you don't beat that thing now, how are you going to encourage them? If you don't conquer what you're dealing with now, When the person that comes into your life, that your story is supposed to inspire, how are you going to inspire them? You can't inspire people while you're in it. See, while you're going through stuff, while you're in the dirt, while you're in the hurt, while you're in the pain, when you talk about it to people, it's complaining. It's called complaining. But when you get past it and you conquer it and you know how to teach from the experience, then it's a testimony. Then it's a testimony when you know how to beat it and you can help guide or mentor somebody through it. That's how it works, guys. Okay? Working through that. Remember, being attached to the assignment and not the person. Win on your level or be winded on somebody else's level. I want to make sure using this platform, using this business, guys. I hope you write this down because most of our issues, most of them are we've compared ourselves to somebody else. We're not where we want to be financially. We're not where we want to be romantically. We're not where we want to be physically. Usually those top tier issues are what cause those cycles of negative feelings, right? For some people, it's childhood trauma that we just haven't dealt with, that maybe have us still dealing with how we look or how we feel about ourselves physically. Whatever that case may be. In this business, the way that we use this business and as an antidepressant is a couple of ways. When we have mentorship calls, you plug into those calls. Not because you want to be wowed by what they say they have, but because the people that are on those mentorship calls have went through life. There is no chairman, there is no 6-7 figure earner in the world that has not went through life. Just because you go chairman doesn't mean that death stops happening in your family. Just because you go hit chairman doesn't mean that your family, that all of your family is now wealthy and nobody has any needs. Just because you go hit chairman doesn't mean that those childhood traumas that you maybe had to work through don't bother you at times, or you go around that uncle or that aunt or that family member or that friend that hurt you or abused you when you were a kid. That none of that eliminates just because you go chairman. So I want you guys to understand that even when people go chairman and they have these mentorship calls, you're plugging in because they have a guide to get through these things. That's one way that we use this business as an antidepressant. When you get passionate of understanding, when you get passionate about understanding that there are other people that will come after you that need you to win, and you start sharing this business from that perspective, not the I need money. Here, I want y'all to understand this. When we started this business over the last 11 years of being in this industry, we have been evicted. We have lost cars. We have donated plasma. We have slept in 1-bedroom apartments and our daughter slept in our closet. We've had my mother live with us and sleep on an air mattress in the front room and take the air mattress down, put it in the closet just so we can have home meetings during the week. We have ran out of gas and had to push cars around to get gas. We've been on food stamps. We've had to overdraft accounts. We've borrowed money to go to events and just now being able to pay them back. We've been through the fire. Everybody has been through some type of fire. Where you are right now, no matter how big it may seem, how scary it may seem, I promise you, if you can get this right, you can get through it. So if you start sharing this business with the perspective of, I will soon be out of this. I will soon be out of this, but there is somebody coming behind me that is waiting for me to make it. There's somebody coming behind me that needs me to conquer my issues. When you start sharing this business from that perspective, you will touch so many more lives. You're talking about sign up. You're talking about people wanting to be around you. You're talking about people saying, yes, put me on your team. Hear me out. We are not in a shortage of people. Everybody is not doing Forex. Everybody may hear about it. In your circle, you may think everybody knows about it, but hear me. Hear me when I say this. The person and the people that are assigned to you are assigned to you. The best thing you can do for them with this business is get serious about getting better, get serious about creating a good environment, and start sharing this information from a passionate space of knowing that even if it's not the person you talked to today, what about tomorrow? What if that's the person? What about the next day? What if that's the person that's waiting on you? Guys, 3 years in, 85,000 lives impacted by this business because D.L. Wood said yes, even when Quiana Wood said no. Catch that. He said yes, even when I said no. 85,000 families got the opportunity to see this from a different lens because he looked at it from a different lens first. What if it's 85,000 people waiting on you to start sharing this passionately? Not from a place of, I got it all together and let me pretend to be something that I'm not. No, you can be yourself. You can be a self-developed part of yourself. Speak from passion, speak from where you're going. People are going to follow you because they can feel the authenticity. If you're struggling with, hey, nobody's following me, I need you to check your attitude, how you talk to yourself, because it's not what you say outside to people. People can feel how you talk to yourself. We call it confidence. People can feel how you treat yourself. People can feel how you handle yourself based on the energy that you have. People can feel it. So when you go to share this message, when you go to build this business, share this information, and you don't have to yell. I just yell sometimes. Y'all know I get excited. But share this from a place of truth, of knowing that even if the person I talk to tomorrow says, no, I can't quit because there's somebody waiting on me to get this right. There's somebody waiting on me to get this right. And to continue to do this, I asked our Nancia Jones this. She's a Platinum 1000 in the organization. I asked her this, can you do the same thing over and over and over again without losing enthusiasm? I want you to ask yourself that. You need to write that down somewhere in your room. Can I do the same thing over and over and over again without losing enthusiasm? Don't answer that today if you're not ready, but ask yourself, because all we do is share this information with passion, with truth, with testimony, with belief over and over and over again. And that's how lives are getting changed. That's how it happens. Can you do that over and over and over again? Last but not least, I want you guys to take a look. When you get some time this week, it's a very short audio. It's very short. It's called The 4 Agreements. The 4 Agreements. I want you to write this down, and this is the end. I want you guys to write this down, The 4 Agreements. I want you to listen to the audio, but I'm just giving a cliff note. The 4 Agreements. The first one is be impeccable with your word. Be impeccable with your word. That means don't carelessly say things. And when you say something, mean it. Don't carelessly say things to yourself. Don't say that you're fearful. Don't say that you're depressed. Don't say that, listen, and I get it. I'm not $8. I'm not saying that anybody's hurt, that anybody's feelings, that anybody's emotions are false or fake or not real. I am not saying that. I'm just saying, what are you getting out of owning that for so long? and repeating that to yourself and affirming that to yourself. What are you getting out of that? It's probably not getting you where you want. So let's be impeccable with our words. If I can passionately say how bad things are, I can passionately say how good things are. And if I don't know where to start, here's a place. God, I'm grateful for my limbs. I'm grateful for my eyesight. I'm grateful for my ears. I'm grateful for my feet. I'm grateful. I'm grateful for my heart. I'm grateful that it's beating. I'm grateful that I can breathe in and out. I'm grateful that I can touch things and I can feel it. I'm grateful that I can walk. I'm grateful that I can smile. I'm grateful that I can feel any. Just start from a space of whatever you can see. If you are having a hard time being grateful, just start with what you can see. Whatever that is, start there. Start there, being impeccable with your words, finding a way to be passionate to yourself and affirm different things. After being impeccable with your word, the next thing is don't take things personal. Don't take things personal, guys. Everybody has life happening. Everybody does. If your friends don't support you, if they don't hop on right now, you don't know if they're struggling financially and they're too embarrassed to talk about it. So if they say no and they seem like they just uninterested, you don't know if they really sad and embarrassed. So don't take it personal. Don't take it personal. Don't take things personal. When somebody gets mad and they talk to you a little rough, you don't have to respond with roughness. You don't have to respond that way. You don't know what's going on with them. That doesn't give them an excuse, but because you can control you, don't take it personal. Don't take it personal. Don't. The next agreement is don't assume. Don't assume, y'all. Don't assume, and this is big. Don't assume because you post a flyer online that your closest friends saw it and now they want to join your business. Don't assume you're going to keep getting your feelings hurt. Don't assume because you went live that you think everybody saw your live and now they want to sign up with you. Don't assume that. Don't assume that, oh, my people they not supporting me. Did you call them directly? Did you pick up the phone and ask them? Every single one of them. Don't assume. Do not assume. And that's in business. Don't assume that your mentors are too busy or that they don't care about you. Don't assume. Consider that they got hundreds of people that they're helping. Don't assume. Don't assume that you're not important. Just be consistent. Hey, I reached out. Okay, I'm gonna reach out again. I'm gonna reach out again. Don't assume. When you read things in your text groups and understanding that people are from different sides of the world, meaning you have people that are from the South that say yes ma'am and no ma'am. You got people from the North that don't say yes ma'am and no ma'am and they talk fast. You got people from London or across the sea that they all speak differently. So don't assume that everybody has an attitude. Don't assume that everybody is angry. Don't assume that everybody is disrespecting you. Don't assume. That's the third one. And the fourth one is do your best. After all of this that we talked about, understanding depression, understanding how you affirm and how you can combat those affirmations, how you can write and create a better environment, how you can talk to yourself, how you can create a plan that helps you get out of that rabbit hole. Do your best. That's the fourth one. Do your best every day. And don't beat yourself up so hard. If you slip on something, if you slip on one of those steps, don't be so hard on yourself. You're learning. You're learning. Just tell yourself, give yourself a checklist. Write up a 90-day checklist of things you want to do every day for 90 days. And every day that you do it, check it off. If you miss one day, just know you got to make it up.
just get back on it. But I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. I hope this is helpful. I hope that you guys get what you need out of this. But at the end of the day, that you talk to yourself better after this, that you say different things to yourself, and that you understand that you have a leadership and a family of people that all have different things and different talents and different gifts. And we all pour from those gifts and those talents. And because you said yes, you have access. You have access to the tools and the knowledge that we have. So don't take that for granted. Don't feel like you're alone, and always know we'll see you at the top, because the bottom is too crowded. But we will never look down on anybody unless we are willing to help them up. Y'all have a great night. Go ahead and enjoy your families, enjoy yourselves. I have recorded the call. I'm gonna go ahead and stop recording. I'll share it once it finishes uploading. Y'all have a great night.